Okay, choices. Today I've got several things I could do. I could unbox this package I just got, and I suspect there's an amplifier in there. I don't know which one. I've actually ordered a couple amplifiers of late, so that could be somewhat exciting. I might do that in another video, not sure. Let's see what else. I've got this old 19, probably late 1980s ADA rack mount thing. It's a 2 preamp. I could demonstrate that, which might be somewhat interesting. Haven't done much 80s stuff in my channel, and definitely haven't done any preamps, any rack mount stuff, so that might be different. Actually, I had to service that as well, so we could look at some pictures of the servicing that was done with that one. I've got this trainer head that I've already started making a video for, but I can't finish it because, as you all probably know, I like to demonstrate amps at least at the ends of videos to see what they sound like. And I sold my last 100-watt handling cabinet, so I can't really plug it into anything at the moment. So waiting on a cabinet to be able to demonstrate that. But that's SOB is going to be a real monster right there. That's going to be a kick-ass amp. We've all seen this thing. I've still got to do a little bit of work on the side there. And I could restore this amp to working condition today. This is something I just got as well. It's already been worked on, but I don't think it's ready to go. It was kind of a project that the previous owner sort of gave up on. We might take a look at this. We might not. I haven't quite decided. This is a Concordia amplifier. This is one of those little series filament amps, and I've done quite a few of those lately, so I probably won't do that one in this video. But it's definitely an interesting amp. So yeah, several things that we can do. I've also got this little bass that we could look at. I might could use this in one of our Japanese pickups comparisons because it has an interesting gold foil pickup in that neck position. This is a Kawai made Kimberly, or well, I say Kawai. It could be Teisco as well. It's got the 3-in-1 headstock, so it's yeah, it's Teisco. So yeah, I could do something with that. I don't know. Choices. I'm kind of gravitating right now toward this ADA, since that's something different. We haven't done much rack mount stuff or any rack mount stuff on my channel. So yeah, let's take a look at this ADA. Again, this is a late 1980s thing. And this was a big deal back in the day. Everybody who wanted to shred had to have one of these. This was kind of the Axe effects of its day, sort of. It's MIDI. It's a MIDI controller, so you can control all your tones from a MIDI switch remotely. I don't have any kind of floor pedal or switching system with this, so I'm gonna just probably demonstrate some of the presets. But yeah, let's do that just for the heck of it. Let's look at some photos of the inside and talk a little bit about what was done to service this thing first. First of all, let's talk about the controls. You can fully edit and store presets. So if you go to a preset and you think it has too much drive, you can adjust the amount of overdrive. You can adjust the amount of mids and treble and bass and all that sort of thing. The presence. We have this effects loop. I'm not sure what exactly that does, but you got chorus, depth and rate. So you got all the different voicings. Basically any parameter that the preset has, you can adjust it and save it, and you can save it into its own bank and so forth, just like most digital processors. But this one does have a tube inside. There's a 12AX7 down in this area over here, and we'll see that in just a moment. We'll look at some photos again of the whole thing apart. There's a switch here which allows you to switch your outputs. One of them just goes louder than the other, and it essentially will allow you to switch between, I think, going to, let's see, yeah, an instrument and a line setting. That's what it is right there. You see that on the bottom? So that's what that switch does. A lot of people probably don't even know that's there, but it is. So line inputs, you have A/B outputs, effects loop with level control. There's a headphone jack with a level control. Here's your Midi stuff, your plugs for that. Phantom 9-volt power DC. There's your fuse and your on-off switch. So yeah, there's the back of the unit. Let's take a look at the inside, and then we'll go ahead and plug it in and listen to some of the presets. What are you barking at, buddy? What the heck are you barking at? What's under there? You're being silly. Okay. Okay, we're going to take a look at the inside of this unit, and we can see here we actually have two 12AX7 tubes rather than just the one. I forgot about it having two. So it's got two tubes. Your most of your chipset is Toshiba stuff by the look of it. Let's zoom in a little bit and maybe we can read some of these others. Not sure on that one. This thing was fairly dirty when I got it as far as the jacks and things were concerned, so I did come in here and cleaned out this jack pretty thoroughly. I sprayed it quite a lot, and actually you could wiggle the cord and it was it would kind of cut in and out when you wiggled the cord, so I had to get in there with some tweezers from the front end and a little flashlight and bend the contacts back into position on the inside so that they would actually make good contact and keep it. So that's one of these things that that's fairly common, because this is a kind of a cheap jack. Without having to order some kind of replacement for this and not knowing whether it would fit right and all that crap, or doing the hard wiring thing where I would desolder this completely and put a brand new jack and run wires instead of all that, which would have caused a lot of time and expense. I just opted to bend those contacts back into place, and that might be something you could do on yours if you're having that same problem. Cleaned the pot on the front of the unit as well. Took the tubes out and cleaned those sockets pretty thoroughly, sprayed them out, popped the tubes in and out a few times to make sure they were good and clean. Fired the unit up after that to make sure that they were clean as well, and that's pretty important. You got to test those things out to make sure that your cleaning job took. Let's see. Here's the other side of the board. We can see a ribbon cable here. This is leading to the display up front. Another ribbon cable leading to all the output board from the input to the output. These caps, I think, were all original. There didn't seem to be a problem with it, so I didn't bother with them. I would think at some future stage, you might want to come in here and at least recap these big ones and test a few of the small ones just to be sure. But probably these big ones, at least, you might want to change at some point, but they were fine for the moment. There is a lithium battery here. I don't know right now if it's good or not, and I didn't have a replacement on hand when I had the thing open, so I'm not sure. I didn't try to store any of the settings or anything or mess with any of that, but if it turns out that the settings aren't storing and holding storage when the unit is turned off and then or unplugged and then moved and plugged back in, then it could be you just need to change this little lithium battery. This is the same ones that are used in PCs, and they're pretty easy to come by. But that's the one you want. It looks like 2325 or 2326 on that part number. That's just the standard size lithium battery you can find anywhere. There are some chips over here with Hyundai on them, so there's some Hyundai chips. I'd say this thing was obviously made in Japan by the look of the components, or Taiwan maybe. Let's see, let's go to another board here. I think we'll reach the end of it, yep. Let's see. It's a wider shot of the whole board. This, when I got the unit, the power transformer didn't have any screws. It looked like somebody had perhaps unscrewed it, thinking that's how you got into the unit or something, and then just left the screws out, and so there were no screws for holding the power transformer in. So I replaced those, and it's good and secure now. But, so yeah, that's the top of the unit. Here's the underside of the unit, and this gives you access to your rear jacks, and all these were cleaned as well. These pots, one of these was pretty much completely seized up. I forget which one, but I sprayed those very thoroughly, lubricated, and they're all clean and free moving now. One of these jacks had a cracked end piece here on the jack itself, so I super glued that with some good strong super glue and put the nut back on. It seems fine. Board traces all look pretty good. Don't think anybody's been in here screwing around with a iron or anything like that. It hasn't been modded in any way. Let's see. Let's see what some of these chips are. It's kind of hard to read with the quality of these photos. So that's the unit. Now let's take a look. Let's take a look at the thing with it on and see what it sounds like. Okay, here we are with this thing on, and I'm just going to start off with a random preset here. This is one I just kind of found off the bat that was pretty good for metal type stuff. But we'll start off with that and then move to a couple of the other things. Maybe test out some of the wet settings and the clean stuff. I'm using a guitar with humbuckers. This is a 1984 Ovation, and I'm not going to mess hardly with any of the banks or anything like that. I'm just going to go through a few of the settings just to give you an idea of what this thing can do. If it seems a bit noisy, that's because I'm sitting right next to the amp, so you have to take that with a grain of salt. And speaking of the amp, it's a 1979 Fender Super Reverb. The settings are pretty much straight up, volume, treble, middle is cut just a hair, bass is boosted just a hair, and the master volume is straight up and down. See if I can remember some of my old school metal days here. Kind of one of the metal settings. Let's just go through a few of the settings here. else. And that's the thing about this, you know, if you don't set all the levels and everything the way that you want them and program them into the bank that you're going to use on stage, you might have volumes way up here on some presets, and then some will be way down here because they've been monkeyed with. But after you set everything up, you know, you can equalize all your volumes straight across, so you don't have to worry about that sort of thing when you get one of these on stage and you're switching between everything. But yeah, I mean, a lot of options in there, especially good if you're into metal. You know, it does a lot of those sort of classic metal tones from the 80s hair bands and stuff like that very well. As a matter of fact, I mean, I think a lot of them would use these pretty regularly on stage and in the studio. So you're probably listening to this very unit on a lot of those old classic albums. So yeah, that's a probably mid to late 1980s ADA MIDI programmable tube preamp.